The woman was chosen by the richest man because of her exceptional fertility. The richest man wanted her to marry his son, whose fertility was poor, so she could give birth to a third-generation heir for the family. However, the woman refused to marry the young son of the tycoon. Instead, she wanted to marry the tycoon himself. She declared she could give the tycoon a healthier heir. The reason Hazel did this was because in her previous life, she married the tycoon's son, Louis. But Louis loved another woman, Daisy. He believed Hazel was the reason he couldn't be with his true love, so he despised Hazel deeply. He even beat Hazel while she was pregnant. Hazel was beaten to death by Louis in utter despair. Fortunately, God gave Hazel a chance to be reborn, and she came back before the wedding. This time, she would change her fate and avenge Louis, the man who killed her. But Louis was the son of the richest man. Ordinary power and influence couldn't touch him. Only by marrying his father, the tycoon Andrew, would Hazel have the capital to fight Louis. So when Andrew came to propose on behalf of his son, Hazel seriously suggested marrying Andrew instead. Andrew neither rejected nor agreed immediately. He told Hazel to come to his office the next day to discuss it in detail. The next day, Hazel arrived at the company as promised. But while waiting, she ran into Louis, her husband from her past life. Louis thought Hazel was there to harass him, so he was extremely impatient. He even insulted her, calling her nothing but a breeding tool his father found, and claimed he would never marry her. He even tried to hit Hazel because he was violent by nature. Hazel had been beaten to death by him in her previous life. Luckily, Andrew appeared in time this life, and Hazel avoided being hit. Andrew brought Hazel to his office. Hazel saw a project proposal. She remembered Andrew had lost tens of millions on this immature project in her past life, so she quickly warned him about the flaws in the project. Hazel's logical and well-founded insights impressed Andrew. He liked women who were smart and meticulous. His wife couldn't just be a pretty trophy. She needed to be someone who could stand beside him. Hazel keenly sensed his appreciation. She knew her plan was about to succeed. Sure enough, Andrew invited Hazel to dinner the next day. Hazel dressed elegantly for the occasion. Andrew booked the entire venue for her. He first thanked Hazel for her warning. After investigation, the project did indeed have issues. The company avoided a massive loss because of it. Then Andrew formally proposed to Hazel. Hazel gladly agreed. She looked at the ring with satisfaction, because the ring was beautiful, just as beautiful as the beginning of her revenge on Louis. After becoming Andrew's wife, Hazel finally stepped into the tycoon's home again. The first step of her revenge was to deal with the butler. This villain had schemed against Hazel constantly in her previous life. Hazel needed to take him down first, to establish herself as a capable mistress of the house. So Hazel used the excuse of reviewing household expenses. She quickly uncovered that the butler had been embezzling household funds. The amount was huge. Hazel rightfully fired him. Andrew was very pleased with Hazel's diligence and decisiveness. But Louis was furious when he learned his father had married a new wife. He wouldn't allow anyone to replace his mother, so he stormed home and happened to run into the fired butler. Louis felt enraged by his stepmother's audacity. He rushed to the study intending to teach that woman a lesson. But what awaited him was his father's scolding. Because Hazel had already hidden after receiving the warning, it wasn't time to reveal herself yet. She eagerly anticipated the moment Louis would be forced to call her Mom. Before that, she needed to get her new son married to the woman he loved. In her previous life, Louis resented her because he couldn't marry Daisy and beat Hazel to death. But what Louis didn't know was, Daisy didn't like him at all because Daisy was spoiled and willful and despised weak and useless men the most. So in this life, Hazel would help him marry his beloved, let them torment each other, and become a miserable couple. So Hazel, acting like a good stepmother, suggested to Andrew that Miss Daisy was young and beautiful. Her family had decent influence, and most importantly, Louis liked Daisy. She was the perfect candidate for a daughter-in-law. Andrew couldn't find any flaw or selfish motive in her reasoning, so he gladly agreed to her proposal, and he became even more satisfied with Hazel's sincerity. Soon, Andrew and Hazel met with Daisy's parents. Hazel strongly pushed for the marriage between their children. Daisy wasn't very willing. She feared Louis couldn't compete with his stepmother, but Hazel had to pull her into this game, because in the previous life, Daisy's interference led to Hazel losing her child, so Daisy wouldn't escape so easily this time. Fortunately, Daisy's parents were pleased with the match, so the engagement party was set for a month later. At the engagement party, Louis had just heard the event was arranged by his stepmother. When he saw Hazel dressed beautifully, Louis couldn't believe she was his stepmother, so he assumed Hazel was there to cause trouble. Just as Louis was insulting and trying to drive drive Hazel away, Andrew finally appeared. He gently took Hazel's hand and announced she was Louis's new mother. Louis felt like the sky was falling. How could the breeding machine he despised become his stepmother? Andrew firmly defended his wife. He warned Louis that if he offended Hazel again, he would cut off Louis's credit cards. Louis could only grit his teeth and apologize to Hazel, pretending to be an obedient son. Hazel calmly accepted his apology as a stepmother. Inside, she was delighted, but the best part was yet to come. At the engagement ceremony, the bride and groom had to serve tea to their parents. Louis had to endure the humiliation and call Hazel, who was almost his age, Mom.